Hi, so this is the continuation of our lecture video for today. So we will be talking about naman the fates of pyruvate. So when say fates, saan ba mapupunta tong pyruvate natin after natin siyang ma-produce in the glycolysis? So pyruvate is the last intermediate na na-produce in the glycolysis in the reaction involving the reaction uh, from phosphoenol pyruvate to pyruvate uh, pyruvate using pyruvate kinase. So, ano na ang magiging kahihitnatnan ng ating pyruvate? So, we have two ways. The first one is yung anaerobic condition, so walang oxygen, and the other one is aerobic conditions. So, let's start first with anaerobic condition. So, the first one is on the conversion to ethanol. So, the alcoholic fermentation in yeast and other microorganisms, dito nangyayari itong anaerobic condition kung saan nako-convert siya into ethanol. So here's the general reaction of your pyruvate. So your pyruvate is first decarboxylated. So when say decarboxylated, there is a removal of carbon dioxide in this part, yung binilugan ko. So that will be released as CO2. Now, ang enzyme responsible for that is a pyruvate decarboxylase. So take note, decarboxylase, removal of carbon dioxide. In return, so you have the formation of this acetaldehyde. So this acetaldehyde can be further metabolized so using alcohol dehydrogenase. So alcohol dehydrogenase here, as you can see, there is a reduction. This is a reduction reaction wherein you use NADH to form your NAD plus. So after nan, mafo-form na yung ethanol ninyo. So the key point here is that in anaerobic condition, walang oxygen, your pyruvate is sequentially two-step sequentially converted into ethanol. So here's the net equation, glucose, and then you have the formation of this one. This is your ethanol. You have also the formation of carbon dioxide, release of carbon dioxide, ATP, and water. So, kung natatandaan nyo doon sa ating discussion, sa isang reaction natin sa glycolysis, gumagamit din tayo doon ng NAD plus. NAD plus siya. Tapos, it will be converted to NADH. So, yung nangyari kasi dyan, uh, may step tayo doon na na-produce yung NADH. Yun yung sa step number 6 sa conversion ng glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate or GAP to 1,3-BPG. So meron na tayo doon na formation ng NADH. Kaso dito sa alcoholic fermentation, ginamit naman yung NADH na yon pabalik na convert back siya to NAD+. So, take note then that after the glycolysis, dalawang pyruvate ang meron tayo. So, essentially, dodoble lang to. So, 2 pyruvate, dito, gagamit ka ng NADH. So, ibig sabihin, yung NADH na na-form mo, 2 NADH na na-form mo dun sa step number 6, reaction number 6, ay magagamit lang dito sa ating alcoholic fermentation. At wala rin tayo ditong formation ng ATP. Itong ATP na to is the net. This is the net ATP na na-produce natin, accounting for the two, di ba, remember we have 2 ATPs invested, and then we have 4 ATPs harvested. So in total, ito yung negative 2 yan, plus 4, you have 2. So this is just the net ATP production. So napakababa lang ng formation ng ATPs natin. So the other one naman is the conversion of this anaerobic din siya pero limiting yung oxygen. So this one naman ay yung conversion to lactate. So in eukaryotic cells such as red blood cells, lens, cornea, kidney, medulla, testes, and leukocytes, nangyayari itong conversion to lactate. So this is ito yung na-observe nyo kapag meron tayong overwork muscle. So that causes cramps. So the reaction here is your pyruvate will be acted upon by your lactate dehydrogenase. So that will also use NADH to form NAD+. Yan. And this will form your lactate. So ito po yung nagko-cause ng ating cramps. So this lactate naman kasi can be this lactate can be used pa din as a source pa rin siya ng energy, pero ito ay ibabalik sa form ng meron kasi tayo pwede natin 'tong ibalik sa form ng pyruvate and then glucose din. So, 'yan. Also, isa pang medical relevance itong lactate na 'to. This lactate kasi causes the cloudiness in the lens of your eyes. And as a result, it causes cataract. So, yan ay nangyayari kapag meron kayong limited na oxygen supply. And this is your net equation. For the third one naman, this one is now your aerobic condition wherein you have abundant supply of your oxygen. This is all about the conversion to acetyl-CoA. So your pyruvate will enter now your mitochondria because this processing ng acetyl-CoA occurs in the mitochondria. So, from the cytoplasm, you have your glucose, the formation of your 2-pyruvate. This pyruvate will enter your mitochondria for further processing in the citric acid cycle or your Krebs cycle. So, ito lang yung kanyang reaction where you have your pyruvate, it condenses with your CoAsh or your acetyl-CoA. Yan. It also uses NAD plus here to form NADH and H plus. And then you have your formation of your acetyl-CoA and then your carbon dioxide. And this is all acted upon by your pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. So napakalaking enzyme po nito. So paano ba pumapasok si pyruvate doon sa mitochondrion? We have these porins. So transport proteins, or we call them porins. So these porins are proteins that allow the passage of your pyruvate to enter the outer mitochondrial membrane. Okay? So, meron tayong remember that your mitochondria is double membrane din siya. Okay? And ano lang yun yung pyruvate na yun is doon pa lang siya sa outer. This is one is your outer, itong nasa loob, ito. This one is your outer mitochondrial membrane. This one naman is your inner mitochondrial membrane. So there is also a protein there that will allow the entry of your pyruvate papasok sa loob ng mitochondria, and that is what we call your pyruvate translocase. So translocase. So papasok siya diyan sa loob ng mitochondria. And then, pag nakapasok na siya dyan, it will be acted upon by your PDH complex or your pyruvate dehydrogenase complex to form your acetyl-CoA. So this one is the oversimplified structure of your acetyl-CoA. So bakit siya naging acetyl? Kasi in organic chem, this part of your CH3 C double bond O, this is what you called an acetyl group. Okay? Acetyl, and then this one is your coenzyme A. So ano ang talagang structure nitong acetyl-CoA natin or acetyl coenzyme A? This one is the structure. Napakalaki niyang molecule because it has a thiol group in the dulo. Yan. So, yung isang portion dito is, it looks like a nucleotide. So, that is your phosphoadenosine diphosphate. So, meron siya ng sugar, meron siya nung adenine base, and you have phosphate, dalawa. And then we have here the pantotenic acid, and then the beta-mercaptoethylamine. So, napakalaking structure ng acetyl-CoA, but it is only designated as your acetyl-CoA. This is just your CoA. Yan. Yung part na to, yung buong yan, is this one only. Yan. Yan, ito lang yan. Tapos, yung itong acetyl group na yan, ay saan ba manggagaling? Makikita nyo mamaya na manggagaling yan dun sa pyruvate natin. Okay. So, ano ba ang characteristics nitong si pyruvate dehydrogenase complex? It's a very large enzyme complex. When say complex nga ano siya, pinagsama-sama siyang enzymes. So, it contains many copies of subunits, napakadami. So, ito kasing enzyme natin, yung pyruvate dehydrogenase complex is actually made up of three parts pa. So, you have your E1, E2, and E3. So we have also the name for each. So E1 is the pyruvate dehydrogenase. The E2 is dihydrolipoyl transacetylase. And then the third one is the dihydrolipoyl dehydrogenase. So meron tayong transacetylase and dehydrogenase. At meron silang mga kinakailangang mga enzymes, coenzymes. So your pyruvate dehydrogenase is E1 requires a TPP or the thiamine pyrophosphate. Then E2 needs a lipoweight and a CoA, the coenzyme A. And then dihydrolipoyl dehydrogenase E3 requires a FAD or flavin adenine dinucleotide and NAD+. So ano bang function ni E1? This is for the oxidative decarboxylation of pyruvate. So when say decarboxylation, we remove your CO2 in that part. Diba? Remember, pyruvate, ang pyruvate natin, makikita nyo din naman mamaya, is that it's CH3, C double bond O, C double bond O, O minus. So this part of your pyruvate will be decarboxylated. Kaya siya kailangan ng E1. Next is this E2. It functions for the transfer of the acetyl group to the CoA. Remember, yung natirang part, the CH3C double bond O, this is your acetyl group. And this will be bonded to your coenzyme A. And then, the E3 naman is the regeneration of the oxidized form of your lipoamide. So, para ma-visualize nyo siya, this one. This one is the pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. This is a 3D model niya. Okay? So you have your E1, E2, E3 natin. So this one is the actual mechanism niya. So I will be talking about mechanisms. So your pyruvate will be decarboxylated first by this one E1, the pyruvate dehydrogenase. So we will cut it here. Yan, cut it here. So release that as CO2. Okay. So ang mag-act pa dyan is the TPP. Yan. So TPP, release the CO2. Yung natirang part is hahawakan siya nitong si TPP. Ayan, hawak niya yan. Tapos, it will, di ba ito nga ito yung acetyl. Andyan yung acetyl group. This acetyl group will be, sabi nga natin is, it will transfer, the E2 will transfer the acetyl group to your coenzyme A. So, dito papasok si CoA. Ayan. So, bago pala yon, itong OH na yan, CH3, will encounter this lipoylysine. Yan. Oxidize siya. So, meron siya nung disulfide bridge. So, yan ay ma-reduce yan. So, yung isa ay magiging SH, isa ay S. So, doon kakabit. Kakabit ito. Yan. Yung carbon dyan is kakabit dun sa sulfur, dun sa isa. Pero dapat ma-break muna yung bond. Then, yung isa ay SH, yung isa ay S. Now, you have here now your acetyl and the S. This will now encounter your coenzyme A. So, ano na ang mangyayari dyan? The coenzyme A will condense with the acetyl group bonded to the lipoylysine natin. Then, it will form now your acetyl CoA. So ito na yung kailangan natin. So okay na tayo diyan. Now, ang kailangan kasing mangyari diyan ay makabalik sa original form yung enzyme. So that's why you still need the enzyme 3, the hydrolipoyl dehydrogenase. So ang nangyari kasi diyan is, 'di ba ito, 'tong bond na 'to, maka-cut 'yan, uh, it will connect itself to the coenzyme A. 'Yan. So, may portion diyan na ito yung isang SH, ito 'yan. So, itong S diyan, actually dito po pala 'yon. Yung CoASH na 'yan, yung H diyan dito, 'yan, dito siya magko-connect. Yung S to the C double bond OCH3. So, may maiiwan ka dito na S at itong H, kaya siya naging SH din. So, yung dalawang SH na yan ay kailangan makabalik siya o ma-regenerate siya. So, kasi ito ay na-reduce. So, kailangan siya makabalik dun sa oxidized form ni lipoyl lysine. So, that will be acted upon by your E3. So, kaya kailangan dito ng FAD. So, FAD will undergo a reaction. It will be converted to FADH2. Then, may NAD+. So, for the formation of NADH and H+. So, pag nangyari na to, babalik na dun sa original form yung inyong uh, lipoyl, lipoyl lysine. Okay? So, ito din si TPP, kailangan din makabalik siya. Actually, makakabalik siya doon sa original form na TPP, ma-regenerate si TPP kapag na-transfer itong part na to doon sa lipoyl lysine natin. So, this TPP now is free to accept another pyruvate, and then the whole process will repeat all over again. Okay? So, that is the mechanism on which your pyruvate dehydrogenase complex acts upon your pyruvate to form your acetyl-CoA. So, we have mentioned here in the E1 that you need here the thiamine pyrophosphate. So, we have a condition kasi called thiamine deficiency. So, thiamine deficiency is, meron tayong tinatawag na condition that is called beriberi. So, that is the nutritional deficiency in the thiamine. So, thiamine is the vitamin B1. So, kaya minsan may mga nagtitake tayo ng mga vitamin B complexes as gamot-gamot. So, ano ba ang characteristics ng isang tao na may beriberi? You have weight loss, weakness, impaired neurological and cardiac functions. So, napakapayat ng taong may beriberi. Okay. So, the other one naman is what we call your alcohol brain disease. So, in alcohol brain disease, your alcohol abuse could lead to thiamine deficiency. So, and your alcohol brain disease results to neurological and cognitive impairment. So, kaya talagang dapat ay ingat tayo sa pag-inom kasi hindi lang liver ang kanyang tinitira, is pati kasama din yung sa ating brain function. So, pag ang brain kasi ang na-impair, so meron siyang overall impact sa neurological, sa thinking natin, and sa ating cognitive, sa ating pag-iisip. Okay? So, that is for thiamine deficiency. So, I will be ending my slide with this part. So, this one is just showing you the metabolism now of your glucose. So, we already mentioned that glucose is metabolized to pyruvate. Ito ay sa glycolysis. So, yung pyruvate natin, we have different fates. So, the first one is the conversion to lactate. So, kapag you have limited oxygen supply. And then, the other one naman is for the formation of your alanine. So, this one is your amino acid. So, building up of amino acids. Or it can go to your mitochondria. So, papasok siya sa Krebs cycle. So, this PT is your pyruvate translocase. Ma-encounter niya si pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. Yan. So, may release kayo ng carbon dioxide and formation of your acetyl-CoA. So, that acetyl-CoA will now go to the round of your Krebs cycle. And then, yung mga na-produce ng inyong Krebs cycle as well as dun sa NADH na form ng sa glycolysis will now go to your, what do you call this? Your electron transfer chain. So the electron transfer chain will will cause the formation of your ATP. That's why we always say that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Napaka-busy organ ng organelle ng ating mitochondria kasi majority of all metabolic pathways happen here in the mitochondria. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much and always keep safe.